What's up, chat? Mi gente, another video for you. I just did an interview right here, my place, where you are talking to me, with reporters from Manchester United in house, in or around that cover the team. And essentially, the reports of United's interest in Hilberto Mora are very true. Not just United. I'm sure you've heard about Barcelona at some point in time, probably rumors or some sort of report from Real Madrid, and I'm sure many others. It's natural. I will tell you what I told them when they asked me about Hilberto Mora and my thoughts on Hilberto Mora. Hilberto Mora is a uh, very good footballer. Made his debut at 15 years, I believe 10 months. Youngest player to score a goal in Liga MX history, uh, and he did with Juan Carlos Osorio, the ex Mexican national team coach, the Colombian mad scientist, if you will, who gave him that opportunity. Now, let's talk about why this is so out of the ordinary. If you follow Mexican football, you know that oftentimes the Mexican talent, the domestic talent, doesn't get an opportunity. Why? Because much like the Premier League back in the heyday, there was an influx of foreign talent. But unlike the Premier League, because in that influx of foreign talent, there was a domestic talent that suffered. But unlike the Premier League, there are no filters to that foreign talent. So in the Premier League, foreign talent need to gain a work permit to play for any team in the Premier League. That means you have to have so many games category A with your national team. That doesn't happen in Mexican football. So essentially you can make a case that some of the foreign players or foreign product that comes into Liga MX is no better than the domestic talent. And for the Premier League, you have to be of a certain specialty or quality to play there if you're a foreign talent. Most leagues around the world, that's what they'll have, not Mexican football. So essentially today, you could sign as many foreign players as you want as long as on the game day roster, you only have eight. Eight. And if you think about if you have eight foreign players on the game day roster, where those positions tend to be the goalkeeper, a center back, a central midfielder, an attacking midfielder, if you will, and then a nine. So the domestic players who do come about end up being your right back, your left back, your second central midfielder, usually a holding midfielder, a complementary player, maybe a pacey winger, if you will, whose only objective is to cater to the nine. Domestic talent, they don't flourish in that type of environment. And to that, you can see how Mexican football has been with their young talent. And in this World Cup, in 2026, in Mexico, Canada, and United States, Mexico have zero players under 25 years of age with World Cup experience. I repeat, zero players under 25 years of age with World Cup experience. Well, because of this rule, the 2011 rule that used to be around back in the day of the Chicharito Hernandez, the Andres Guardados, the Hector Morenos, the et cetera, of that Camada, Efrain Juarez, that rule came back. And because of that, you see the players that are starting to play. A Gilberto Mora gets an opportunity at 15 years, 10 months to play first division football. And he does well. And you see how young talent domestically can flourish if given an opportunity, if in the right environment. He is a special talent. In Mexico's recent history, I'll go from 2000s on, there have been two players, maybe three. There have been two players that have got an opportunity with the Mexican national. And I said maybe three because I'll explain in a second. At a very young age and turned out to be generational players in Mexican football. One would be the legendary Rafa Marquez, who played as a teenager his first World Cup, ended up parlaying that to a signing at Monaco, and from Monaco, Barcelona, with the legendary team that was Barcelona, Pep Guardiola, Puyol, all those great players, Messi, Iniesta, Xavi, list goes on and on. He is one. The other is Andres Guardado, who may have not had the same career trajectory in terms of where he played, but certainly 17, 18 years career, and a majority of that in Europe is nothing to sneeze at. Five World Cups, nothing to sneeze at. So Hilberto Mora is there. And the reason I said maybe a third would have been Javier El Chicharito Hernandez, who left, I believe, at 2021 to Manchester United and played over a decade in Europe. But certainly at a teenage age, at a teenager, I guess, feeling or setting, Gilberto Mora could be the third. He's a special player. He's a special player who, let's be honest, only has 3 games with the Mexican national team. Two of them starts in important settings, and it was against Honduras in a semifinal and against the U.S. men's national team, whatever that team was, in the Gold Cup final. He's a very good player. As I told the people, the United beat reporters, now the rest of the world knows him. I think there was an objective was sending him to the U20 World Cup, and I say this respectfully. I feel it was a padding of the stats. It was letting the rest of the world know who Gilberto Mora was, and it wasn't really for his development. Because if it was for his development, he would have been in the last 4 games against World Cup opponents. I'll explain: Japan, South Korea, Colombia, Ecuador. Those very difficult World Cup opponents. All those 4 have already qualified for the World Cup. Mexico didn't win a single game in those 4. It's quality opposition. If Hilberto Mora really is a central piece for this Mexican national team at this next World Cup, he should have been there for these games preparing against World Cup opponents with his team. He only has 3 caps with the Mexican national team, 2 real games, and they're against CONCACAF opposition. If they really felt he's going to be that figurehead, that central piece, he would be there with the full national team. But he was with the U20s in what I think was a very smart marketing ploy. Now the rest of the world is like, oh, Hilberto Mora, the Mexican superstar. And now he's on the cusp of a potential European transfer. But in terms of development, he should have been there. Should have been with the Mexican national team. But they were very smart in how they marketed him, because you do need to market Mexican players. Mexican players don't have in Europe the clout of a Brazilian or Argentine. The passport matters here. They don't have the benefit of the doubt. Let's be honest, of a Uruguayan. Um, it very much needs to be a look at our player type of deal, and he's a player that's gotten the eye of many teams. And how could you blame him? Debuted at 15, scored at 15, played for the national team at 16, just turned 17 a few days ago. Happy birthday. And most importantly, he seems to be a player that mentally is there. We've seen, and I say this respectfully, other Mexican players get lost in that fame. U17 players get lost and get caught up in that. I played with a player, his name was Victor Magnon, at Pachuca, and Victor Magnon at 29, 2009, 2010, 2011 was being chased by Chelsea. And because of the inflated Mexican footballing market, they valued him way too high, and he never left. He's playing somewhere in the States right now, like amateur ball. Julio La Momia Gomez, who could forget U17 World Cup in Mexico? Kid comes out being bashed in the head. They stitch him up, wrap him up, and he gets back on the field against Germany and drops a bicycle kick to advance Mexico into the next round to the final in a World Cup they won on home soil. Julio La Momia Gomez. He's now playing amateur ball somewhere in Texas, I believe. The most famous of those players, and I think he did have success, but surely did not live up to the success people would have wanted, are a few. Giovanni Dos Santos, Carlos Vela. People expect big things about Hilberto Mora. I think mentally he is there. And his surroundings, his entorno, the people, his entourage are there as well. Hilberto Mora Sr., I played with him in Puebla. He was a central midfielder, very much put your head down and work, very docile, very soft spoken player. And today, I see the same type of person. His father is a coach in the Cholos Quincles of Tijuana, Cholos Academy. And I believe Cholos, his father, and Rafaela Pimienta, who is his agent now, his camp went out and got one of the best agents in the world, Erling Haaland's agent, Santiago Jimenez's agent. She's got connections all over the world. I believe there will be a sell pre-World Cup. And if you're a smart team, the sell will come pre-World Cup. Because can you imagine in an expanded World Cup, 48 teams, you may have a few teams that are just going to get shellacked. At home, Mexico, in el Estadio Azteca, Gilberto Mora goes off and maybe one, two, I don't know, three goals against decent to whatever type of competition, but they're World Cup goals. And now you're putting him with the likes of Pelé and Mbappe as teenagers to score World Cup goals. That price is going to skyrocket. So if you're a smart team, you sign him before the World Cup with the idea of once he turns 18 next October, you bring him to Europe or you pay big bucks. Because as Rafael, Pimienta famously said not too long ago when they asked if 15 million would be a good price for Hilberto Mora. She said 15 million you wouldn't get for one of Hilberto Mora's legs. So this price could go up. He's a good player that I think still needs development, as any teenager does. He's still growing into his body. It's not a Lamine Yamal case where you're like, well, that's a big kid. That is a big kid. He still very much looks like a kid who just went from 16 to 17, growing into his body, who needs to develop more first team football. But man, the eye test, he's there. He's there. Good player, technical, brilliant in tight spaces. Atrevido, that means he's brave, especially in the final third. He takes risks. He's got finished product on him, goals, assists. It's a good player. And this is a good problem to have if you're Mexico. And what I mean by that is young players needing more time abroad. That's what they should be doing. And this 2011 rule, they should be implementing more of that. You can't keep letting your domestic talent, fall by the wayside. So Hilberto Mora on United's radar.